Hey there. This is What's the Story? I'm Janice Urmson. I'm your host. And I am here with Doug Ashby today. It's just the two of us.
Oh, isn't that going to be great? We don't have to fight for time.
I was going to say, you don't have to fight for time.
No,
Are you kidding me?
Huh.
So yes, this is What's the Story? We're here every week on Tuesdays from 3 to 5. And sometimes it's 3:05 to 5. But
Just to put that in proper, that was a little dig for me.
a little bit.
I was just a tad late, not real late, just a tad.
And that traffic in Reno can be really tough.
That's what
It's
does
really
it.
true. Yes.
It's I can honestly say it's not the traffic, it's the traffic lights.
Yes, that is true. When we used to air over at the Reno Town Mall at the America Matters Studios, which we are heard on 93.7 FM every Tuesday night between 7 and 9, just to put in a little plug there. But when we did go over there to air our show, there were so many times I'd leave here, and plenty of time I thought, and man, if I didn't take the freeway, and sometimes even when I did, I'm hitting every light, and it's like, how long do they hold back this traffic? Right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. We have crazy. I always thought, ever since I've moved to Nevada, I've always thought this is crazy, the way the lights are.
When you go down, I think it's 95 from here to get to Las Vegas.
Right, it is, yeah.
There is a road that cuts through North Las Vegas that goes over to the top of it, probably 10 miles long. And if I had to guess, there's probably 30 traffic lights.
Oh, my Lord.
And guess what? They have them synchronized.
No way.
Where you can just breeze, right?
Way.
Which,
in Nevada?
It puts a smile on my face because it can be done.
Yes, it can. It's amazing.
Now, I'm displaced California and displaced Southern California in the Mission Viejo area. There is absolutely we have a saying, there's no such thing as a traffic engineer. They're just
they don't exist.
Yeah, no, they don't.
That's pretty funny. Well, thank you for joining us today. We're missing Ed. Oh, Ed, you're not that important. Come on. No, we miss Ed. We wish he was here, but he's out having a good time, and we're glad he is. Everybody needs to take a little time off every now and then.
Yes,
right?
That's true.
You do that every now and then.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
It's good. It's a good thing.
It's when we go over to California, we visit over there, and it's nice. But if I leave here on Wednesday after the show, that means I have to come back on Monday, which shortens that week. It's a long drive, short week. So if I take that day off, that gives me another at least 6, and then that really makes it nice.
Yeah, that's true.
But
you hate missing the show, right?
Well, I do. I really do. And last week I had planned on taking today off because we were going there. Well, when Ed spoke up, I thought, no.
You could have been off. No. I can find people.
I just couldn't do it.
I appreciate that you're here.
I can see Janice over there. What do you think, Ed? Well,
yeah, make you guys call in. He's on the plane. You're driving.
Yes.
And I say, no, I got to have you guys. Come on.
Have we've done this, just you and I?
Oh, yes.
Before.
Yeah, we've done it before.
It is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, it's always a different dynamic when you have 3 people versus 2. There's different synchronicities and synchronizations that happen, and it's just different. That's all.
Well, for those of you that are continued, or to see, how do I say that? Listen a lot. Long time listener. As well as we can say, this is what we're going to talk today about, and it never ends up that way. And that Janice is so good with that. And there's another thing about Janice too that I really love. She's an easy laugher. See what I mean?
There it is.
What could be better than that?
that's
Because
nice. Thank you.
Even the dark subjects that we talk about.
It's true.
We can, not that we want to make fun of them, because we don't.
No.
But we can at least
Well, we can find a lighter side or
Yes,
find
yeah.
some reason to, kind of shrug and say, oh, well,
Yes.
I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do because there's nothing you can do about it.
Currently with what we have going on with the presidential election, the way I'm trying to handle it, and it's very, very, very difficult, is avoidance. It just brings me
interesting.
down. It just
how
brings me
interesting.
down.
Yeah.
Well, and the reason is, this is going to sound silly, but I know a lot of people fall in my category, or I fall in theirs. It doesn't really, I'm not that much of a pro-Trump fan. But if I've had my choices, and I probably will, but that doesn't mean I'm a long, hard thump on the table. The thing that irritates me the most about it is that I don't feel that I'm getting accurate news out of the media.
Right. And I think you're right about that. And that kind of leads me into our first topic, which is about the assassination attempt of Donald Trump, because the media is so ignoring that topic as if it didn't happen. And it's very frustrating because there are things happening, and there should be more of an investigation than there has been, or maybe there is one and we don't know about it, right? So one of the things that I came across, I said, we have a couple of nuggets that you might not have heard about because our media does not talk about it. It appears from one account that 10 shots were fired in total. Okay, instead of 8. According to Representative Higgins, this is coming from the preliminary investigative report to Chairman Mike Kelly from Congressman Clay Higgins. So it's not coming from just some guy on the street. This is, one of our representatives. He said, according to Rep. Higgins, shot 9 was taken by a SWAT operator 100 yards away. When he saw crooks moving on the AGR, that's the building rooftop, mostly obscured by foliage, he immediately left his post and ran toward the threat to a clear shot position. On his own, this ESU SWAT operator took a very hard shot, one shot. Crooks, the person they say made the shot, was believed to be down, but a few seconds later, he recovered and popped back up. The 10th and final shot was taken by a Secret Service sniper by the Southern Sniper Team. So that's the report at this point. And like the Kennedy assassination, I think this is going to change about 100 times before we ever maybe get records that show what really happened.
Oh, we'll know we're towards the end of it when they start talking about a grassy knoll.
Exactly. Yes. Well, and then the FBI released the crime scene prematurely. They prematurely released first responders that evening. They prematurely released the crime scene after only 3 days. The FBI cleaned up biological evidence from the crime scene. I mean, who does that, right? I mean, you all know that you don't clean it up. You leave it. You got to do some inspecting and some analysis, right? So Clay Higgins also addressed the muzzle flash. So I don't know if you saw those videos. I think I played one of them last week where there was what looked like in the window where on that first floor of that building where the shooter was supposed to be, there was supposed to be some Secret Service or police stationed in that building. And one of the outside people that were, the people that were outside, the observers, was doing a video of what was going on because he saw all the cops running around, and so he was videoing. And there was a flash in the window. So somebody thought, oh, there was a shot that was fired from the window. So the report now is the muzzle flash from inside the window was either a digital fabrication or an iPhone light or iPhone camera flash reflecting from the glass of the window. So who knows? To address the latter, Higgins also says he did not have a ladder and accessed the roof via climbing an air conditioning unit. So that's the report from Representative Higgins, which I found really interesting and wishing that our media would go in depth, go talk to Representative Higgins and do a little interview, right? Doesn't that make sense?
Oh, it sure does. And the reason they don't is why?
They don't want to know. They don't want us to know.
Well, I think it's deeper than that. I think they have an agenda. This doesn't fit their agenda. So you're right. That is the underlying issue. Oh, wait a minute. We can't say this because that might enlighten people. And it's kind of, what this is. And I used last week because, came as a bolt of light for me. The best description that I can call the adjective for the news media today is they're a cancer.
Oh,
They are just a cancer on society because look at all of the things that they're bringing forth. I mean, try to watch a movie, try to watch a TV program, try to watch anything that doesn't have their agenda in it. They will push.
well, that's true. I stopped watching.
They will push. There'll be a gay couple.
Right.
There'll be a transgender couple. Hey, I don't want that in
Well,
my.
and here's the thing: in light of that exists in our society, if it were an occasional thing that you saw in a movie, or it was pertinent to the story, you'd have no problem with it.
Exactly.
You'd have absolutely no problem with it. That's real life. They're representing real life. It's a movie, but they're representing real life. That's okay. But when it becomes the narrative only, and that's all you see, and that's what you're talking about,
Exactly.
and it's really frustrating, really, really frustrating.
I had to ask Debbie about this book because I forgot the name of it. It wasn't key to the story, but there was a little, and forgive me, I can't remember if it was a little girl that wanted to become a boy or a little boy that wanted to become a girl.
Right, one of you.
But this started, and it was The Beekeeper was the name of the movie. And it was a very, very enlightening book because you followed this little child through and you understood the steps and the things that he was going through or she was going through. And it made it so enlightening because a couple of things. Number one, they weren't pushing it on you. They were just saying, this is kind of a sub story, and they were telling about it. And both Debbie and I, Debbie's my wife, when we got to the end of it, I believe that there are some people who truly are in the wrong body.
Sure.
But I don't think it's 30% of the population or whatever.
Right.
Right.
And
when you're watching a movie, it's the 100%.
Right. Exactly. So, and it's exactly that, totally exemplifies what we've been talking
exactly.
about. And
same thing with gay people. The fellow that got me into the fire service, got me originally into the fire service, was our next door neighbor on an area in Eagle Rock in Los Angeles where I grew up. He was an LA City fireman, and it wasn't so much what he said, it was his actions and to watch their lifestyle. They had two boys, and their oldest boy was a year younger than me, and they moved into their house next door to us probably 2 years after we were there. And so there was somewhat of a neighborhood, but not a lot. Next door to the north of us, there was a family that had 3 daughters. Well, the next door neighbor, their son, Michael.
Oh, yeah. You've talked about this with me. Yeah.
He was more comfortable playing with the girls next door than he was playing with our rifles, and running around playing army. But now I had a chance to follow him through life. And I watched that. I watched him in high school where he dated, and then he went off to college. He went to UC Santa Barbara and a little bit of UC San Francisco, both liberal schools. And finally, he ended up coming out of the closet.
Sure.
Which didn't really, anybody that knew him, didn't surprise them. Now, I don't think that this was a lifetime change for him that he says, whoopee, look at these people.
Yeah.
I think genetically he was predisposed to that.
Right.
So again, that's one of those lifetime values that you go, huh.
Well, and I think that's part of the nature of what's going on is that everybody seems to be cramming this agenda down our throats instead of saying, hey, this represents a lifestyle of certain people. It happens to be this percentage. And, and it is really how they feel and how, but instead it's like, oh no, everybody's like this. All the kids are like this and all that, and we all
Okay.
know that's not true.
I have a question for you. We serve, Los Angeles County Fire serves West Hollywood. West Hollywood has a gay pride parade. And they come to the fire department and they say, we want to have a fire engine in the parade. And trust me, no matter how you let your imagination go, you can't begin to see what this gay pride parade has going on. I mean, you can look at it, you go, oh my God, that's terrible. Or you can say, this is hilarious. But now here's the question.
But either way, does the LA County Fire Department want to be involved?
Well, they do. So we put an engine company with 4 people on it. Now, the issue that comes up, can you mandate a firefighter to be in that parade?
Because, I don't think so.
Well, in
but
lies
they did,
the problem.
Well, I guess if you're on duty that day, I suppose you could be. Right.
Yeah. Well, it divided a lot of people. And what happened is one of the individuals was going to be on that. He says, this is televised and I don't want Edna from Iowa seeing me in that parade. And I said, well, we'll take care of this. And what we did is but very simple issue. If you listen to the people that you work with,
right? Does
anybody want to go in his place? And there were several that raised their hand. So end of problem.
It was fine, sure.
But
that's addressing the problem in a very realistic way, and that person coming to you and expressing how he felt and why he felt that way.
Yes.
And it wasn't anything against the people. No. It was more about the nuances of what it's going to be perceived as. And I can understand that. I mean, absolutely. And so that is a good call. So just getting back for a minute to that investigation that I was talking about.
Yes.
I want to mention that there is a congressional report. It's a preliminary investigative report to Chairman Mike Kelly. So if you're looking for it, that's what you want to look for. Preliminary investigative report to Chairman Mike Kelly and Congress of the United States, House of Representatives. Clay Higgins is, it's like 4 or 5. Oh, actually, it's 6 pages. So, good information if you are interested in knowing more about what they're finding. And key word here is preliminary. It means they haven't finished their investigation yet. And it sounded to me like on everything that I've been watching and listening to, they're having trouble getting information because they're cleaning out things. I guess the body of Crooks has already been cremated, so they don't have that. I mean, this is kind of crazy. It's just kind of crazy that should happen so soon. So, but it is what it is, right? And so hopefully
your heart has to go out to the parents of this son. Through it all, it is a son of a mom and dad.
Yeah.
And that's terrible.
It is. Really is. And, the thing is that I saw another report, and I don't have that one handy here, but I saw another report this morning that stated that that Crooks had walked into, and they had video, if it was him, and I could not tell you that it was him just based on the view, but if that was him, he had absolutely nothing on him. He walked quite a long distance into the area and had no ladders, no guns, nothing. And his car had been left quite a ways away. So they did show that as well. But here's the thing. Oh, I remember it was somebody that emailed me. I was going to read it off my email. But at any rate, and then there was another individual that if you listen to, and now I'm not going to, Zach Payne on Red Pill News, he covered this intensely. I believe it was like on August 7th or somewhere in there. So check it out if you want to know more about this. He went in depth as far as, this whole investigation and what he's been finding out. People have been sending him tips and sending him videos. And so he's done a great job of covering it. So I've learned a lot from what he's done. And it's unfortunate that you have to go to this alternative person. And he does this all on his own. He does all the research on his own. He's just got people. He's got a good following, and they text him stuff and they send him videos. and he's a great researcher. So, Zach, if you're out there and you hear this, I applaud you for your hard work, because I do 2 hours. I believe he does 2 or 3 hours a day, at least 5 days a week, maybe 6. And he's been doing this for years. So,
Yeah.
I mean, this dude he's something. I like I say, I applaud him because he does a great job.
What's interesting about what you said, I like simple answers. And maybe that's the conservative in me. I don't know, because I latch on to some simple answers.
Sure.
But it's such a complex subject. And
It
what
is.
I mean by that, the news media that's supposed to be digging about this has an agenda. But the other side of that, the people that are investigating it have an agenda. So now you have agenda-driven people interviewing other people with agendas. Now throw that into the Trump camp.
Right.
And they have an agenda.
Of course.
So
yes.
now how is it? But I really hadn't thought this until I verbalized it here. Maybe that's why these news organizations ought to give us what they have.
Well,
Simply.
Right.
And let us make that decision.
Well, that's supposedly what one of those stations is supposed to do. We report, you decide.
Exactly.
Right. But that isn't always the way it works.
Well, it's a step in the right direction, though, isn't it?
Well, it is. And if they did it, it would be wonderful, because then we could just look at the report, say, okay, they reported that. What do I think of that? Listen to another report, kind of compare, which is pretty much what I'm doing now. I'm looking at it
Janice,
all.
just by virtue of the fact that, wait a second, there was certainly one bullet that whizzed through his ear.
Sure.
Well, maybe there was 2. 10?
Right. 10.
Do you know what I mean? But this is the drop.
Well, 2 of them supposedly were snipers firing back. So that would make the 8 the correct number.
Yes.
But then I also saw that report that said that there was somebody in the audience that had shot at Trump from a different trajectory, which I've not heard except for on one report. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
what happened to him?
Supposedly he was eliminated.
And we don't mean killed.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That's
what, and I have no confirmation. Please do not take that anywhere. Because I have no confirmation, but I've seen it enough times, and from people that probably could know, that they could be credible. And so you kind of look at that and say, okay, well, we'll have to wait this one out and see what happens. But he was the person that supposedly did the shooting, was a cameraman, was on site. They showed pictures of him. They didn't show him with a gun, but they did show pictures of him. So we'll have to wait and see how this all pans out. So that's just another thought for everybody. Think about what might have been.
Here's something to think about too. Now we have 2 templates here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally they are.
Yeah.
Two. Now take either one of these templates and use that to go back and view history. What happened to Abe Lincoln?
To who?
Abe Lincoln.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't know. We have no idea. We don't know. We only know what the history books tell us.
That's exactly.
Yes.
And I wonder if they had an agenda.
I wonder. I just wonder.
This is another thing.
Well, and I think that history is very important.
Okay, now, if you really want to complicate things, let's go back 2,000 years when Jesus walked the face of the earth. How was he reported?
Oh, boy.
Do you suppose people had an agenda then?
You think?
Do you suppose
Well,
wait a second, was there a grassy knoll then too?
And that's why history is so important. We really do need to pay attention to history. Our guest in the next hour is going to, she has been doing some research, and it goes back into the 1600s. I've been listening to these lectures, so it's going to be so fun to talk to her. And, because I've been listening to these lectures about the colonial times, which is something she's been investigating. So, but because of that, there was something that happened in that in that situation. It had to do with the charter that they were trying to pass. And we were talking about the lights going out in Reno, Nevada, when we had our last election. The lights went out, right? Well, in this instance, they were talking about they were going to vote on this charter, and the lights went out. And when the lights went back on, the charter was gone, and they couldn't vote on it. And so when I was telling Susie about this, and she's like, nothing's changed. They just used the same playbook. It was pretty funny, right? Because it is. That they eventually did vote on the charter, but they now call it like a charter tree or something. So, and I probably messed some of that up, so forgive me, historians, but that was my take on it, my perception on what happened. And I just thought, how ironic, right? The lights went out in Reno. Well, yeah, 1600s, they did the same thing, same scenario. And here we are, how many years later, right? Isn't that amazing? All right, let's talk about the Pakistani national with ties to Iran, charged in connection with a foiled plot to assassinate a politician or a U.S. government official. Remember a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the assassination, and we said, ha, 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 breaking news, Pakistani arrested. Well, apparently this must be the dude. He wasn't necessarily going after President Trump, it sounds like, because it says earlier today, a complaint was unsealed in Brooklyn, charging Asif Merchant, and that's not Marchant, that's Merchant, Merchant, because there is a Jim Marchant, it's not him, also known as Asif Raza Merchant, 46, with murder for hire as part of an alleged scheme to assassinate a politician or U.S. government official on U.S. soil. Law enforcement foiled the charged plot before any attack could be carried out. Merchant is in federal custody. So that big news story, and like you were talking about agendas, well, their agenda was to tie that, I guess, to President Trump and say that he was going to assassinate President Trump. Oh, he's getting a call while we're here. Why not? So anyway,
Sorry about that.
it's all right.
I turned it off.
Working on behalf of others overseas, Merchant planned the murder of U.S. government officials on American soil, said U.S. Attorney Breon Peace for the Eastern District of New York. This prosecution demonstrates that this office and the entire Department of Justice will take swift and decisive action to protect our nation's security, yada, yada, yada. So, fortunately, the assassins Merchant allegedly tried to hire were undercover FBI agents. Oh, go figure. How did that happen, right? That they just happened to be FBI agents. So there you go. What can I tell you?
You know, we're living in a time, again, just go back as, 15 or 20 years ago. What was our impression of the FBI?
Oh, wonderful.
Absolutely. How about
Absolutely.
the CIA?
Oh, well, I think the CIA has always had a little bit of a taint to it.
Well, you know why, don't you? Because we don't know what they do.
There you go. That's why.
And any other government organizations, the news media has done a great job of tainting them. That's
Yes.
terrible. Who is it that you have faith in this government of ours? That's terrible.
I don't know. Who do you have faith in? I don't think I have faith in anybody except what I can surmise based on, whatever is out in front of me, right? I don't know.
Yeah. I saw some interesting statistics. And matter of fact, for the past 3 or 4 programs, I always kept them with me because I wanted to discuss it, because I think it's so important with what we're going through. During World War II, when we were training soldiers, 90% of them had to be trained and informed and told and had to learn how to shoot at another human being. 90%. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is.
Now, go a little bit further to the Korean War. That went down to about 50%. Now, forgive me, just like you say, you're getting the idea with the statistics. Now, it might have been 54% or 52, but you're getting an idea. Now go to the Vietnam War. It was down to where there was only about 10% of the kids, and literally they were kids that were drafted, needed to be trained and coerced into shooting at another human being.
Hmm.
Now, what changed with the psyche of all of these young men during those intervening years? Now, I know this is a simplistic answer, but you look at today, what is our entertainment? It is all violence.
Yes.
You look
that's
at the
true.
movies, violence. Look at the kids' video games, violence. Look at, you name it, it's TV, all violence. Well, what do we expect? Now you get this, whatever, 20-some-year-old kid, and he's going to shoot the president.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be, hey, he sees this all the time. Not only
Well,
on
we're
time.
only at the preliminary report, so we're going to see. Because it appears there could be another person or persons involved with just based on the guy walked in there with nothing. So either he had to have set it up ahead of time, and why wasn't that found? Or somebody else was involved and dropped stuff for him somewhere. I don't know what the answer is, and I don't think anybody else does that's going to tell us right now. So we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, you were talking about the fact that you're not following much with the presidential campaigns. But one of the things that I mentioned in my little teaser is that we were going to talk about kind of the contrasts of the presidents. And you know what we didn't do? We didn't do our word of the day. Did you bring your word of the day today?
Bring the
Word of the day?
I did.
Yeah. Let's do our word of the day. And then we'll talk about the two different platforms of the presidents, the presidential candidates, I should say. I don't know that we have a president at the moment. Well, and I have a reason to say that. I've got a story about something that happened in Las Vegas.
We need to talk about that too, because they're talking about impeaching Biden.
Yes.
Impeach Biden? I mean, he's got two.
Well, they impeached Trump after he was gone. So, I mean, why not, right? I mean, this at least he's still here. I'm being sarcastic, folks. Sorry, couldn't help it. There I am laughing again. All right, so let's do our word of the day, which is melee.
That's a good word, too.
I think so. Melee. Melee.
That could be a girl's name, too. Melee.
Melee. Yeah, if you say it a little differently, you have to have a little, pizzazz to it. I like it. So you want to fire away with it?
Sure. Okay. Well, it's of French origin and how it migrated to this country. I didn't jot the date down, but if memory shows me correct, it was about 1600 when it came and it started being used. It comes from the worst, the word.
The worst. What are you trying to say?
I like when they do this. It's a French origin and it comes from the word Malay. Oh, gee.
Thanks.
It's an old French verb, mesler, meaning to mix, which makes sense. And this is again one of those words that we've had. Some of the synonyms to the words that we have for words of the day, they're very few. It's a very succinct word, and there's 2 or 3 definitions or like words, like meanings. This one had lots. And well, not only did it have lots, but what I like is that all of the words that were synonyms for Malay were very common, and you could use them at any time, which I like. So yeah. But anyway, going down through my list: commotion, fight, brawl. These are the ones that I like here. Now, ruckus, fracas, and rampus, and ruckus. I think perhaps maybe those words were originated when people misheard what the first word was.
Could be, yeah.
Okay.
But confusion, turmoil.
Yes. Skirmish. I like this one.
I like that.
Hullabaloo.
That's a good one.
Clash, muddle, combat. That's a good one too. Broil, Donnybrook. Let's see. I used fracas
I would
already.
never think Donnybrook. That just doesn't strike me as meaning anything to me.
Really?
No.
Oh, it does. Oh, I think that's
No.
right on there. That's, you would use that, when I was drinking with a friend of mine in this bar, somebody said something to him and it went into a Donnybrook, a battle.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And I want to correct you. First recorded in 1910 to 1915. Origin uncertain, at least according to dictionary.com.
Okay, go back a little bit more. I know I heard 1600 somewhere.
Well, I'm sure you did, but it might have been from a different source. They're saying
Yeah.
1910 to 1915. So it
A
seems like a
recent
word
word.
that, yeah, it
Sure.
seems like a word that
Yeah.
should be older than that.
See, now, again, we talked about, free for all, but that's 3 words.
Yeah.
Rough and tumble and row.
Oh, like a row.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That type
Row.
of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So
I don't know
now,
if it's row or row.
we haven't done this before. Now, say we just wrote something about, again, we're in this bar and a fight broke out, and we want to use a synonym for fight. Which one would you pick?
Give it to me again.
Okay, again, it can be commotion, brawl. That'd be a good
Brawl
one.
would be good. Yeah.
Yes, skirmish, hullabaloo.
Skirmish would be all right.
Oh, I didn't do this one. Clash. I don't like muddle. That's like something
No.
you step in.
It's true.
Combat, broil, Donnybrook, free for all. That would be a good one.
Yeah, I think brawl is the one I would pick. If you're
Brawl-
going to say a fight.
brawl?
Yeah, brawl. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like.
Skirmish?
Yeah.
Depends on how many.
Yeah,
See, if there's a
it's-
lot, then it's a brawl.
Yes.
If there's just a couple of guys,
it could be
or
it
gals,
could be a fracas.
yeah, or a
Yeah.
skirmish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
So,
broil. No, broil. I don't like broil.
you mean brawl?
I do like Donnybrook, but that again to me is more than just 2 people. Donnybrook. So, but
All right, so let's talk about the presidential candidates and what they have in the future for us. What do they think we're going to have going on? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And unfortunately, I forgot to get Doug's screen up for him, so he's stuck kind of gazing at mine. But what we have is, is that I just closed it up, didn't I? Oh, that's interesting. I tried to close.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait
Go
a
ahead.
second. This was, I should seize the moment here. Wait a minute.
Seize that moment.
I was a little bit late, and Janice wasn't completely prepared.
Oh, yes, I was.
Where's my screen now?
I didn't mean to do it. Never intended to have it there. How's that? Did I do good? All right. So here's what Agenda 47, which is different than what was it? What is it that they keep talking about? The 2025. I don't know if it's Agenda 20. No, Project 2025. The media keeps pushing Project 2025. President Trump said, no, I'm not, I don't buy into Project 2025. I've got Agenda 47. I'm just throwing all these numbers around. Anyhow, here is his read the official 2024 Republican platform there, but then here's President Trump's 20 core promises to make America great again. And I'm not going to go through all 20. I got these on the screen, but some of them are seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. I have heard Democrats say that they would like that to stop as well. So I don't think that that's a real, I mean, the media might say it's a real controversial type thing, but I think we all know there are too many immigrants coming across illegally, not legally. And that's the problem. If they come across legally, that would be good. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. That's definitely controversial. End inflation and make America affordable again. I think all sides could see that one. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far. I don't know how everybody else feels about that. I'm okay with it. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower. I have heard Kamala Harris say something about we're going to be manufacturing again. And I think I heard Biden say something about it last night when he was doing his little presentation. But I thought that Obama said we couldn't bring manufacturing back. So I'm confused. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. And they both are saying no tax on tips. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, right to keep and bear arms. I suppose some of the Democrats would have a problem with the right to bear arms because they want to control some of that. Prevent World War III. Can we all agree on that? Can we? Please.
How about bouncing that up to number one?
Yeah, I know, exactly. Restore peace in Europe and in the Middle East. Build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our entire country, all made in America.
Okay, now
That's number 8.
That was number
8.
Okay, go ahead, because when you get to the end of this, I have something to say.
Okay, and the weaponization of government, stop the migrant crime. Again, I'm not giving you the whole thing here, so you'll have to read it for yourself. Just search Agenda 47. Rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe, clean, and beautiful. Strengthen and modernize our military. Keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency. I've heard it's going to crash. Fight for and protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts. Cancel the electric vehicle mandate and cut costly and burdensome, easy for me to say, regulations. Not meaning not to have electric vehicles, the electric vehicle mandate. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children. I buy into that one. Keep men out of women's sports. Deport pro-Hamas radicals, make our college campuses safe, secure our elections, and unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. So that's the Agenda 47, the top 20 core promises for Trump. Go ahead.
That's for Trump.
Yeah, that's for Trump. Although some of them cross over because that's what happens, right?
Okay, all right.
They all pick a topic.
Now, I'm going to throw this out as a challenge to our listeners. Now, you have Trump, who was president for 4 years, and you have Kamala, who has been vice president for almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay, now, this is a slogan that my dad taught me years and years ago, and it's very succinct and it's to the point. And I want to use this slogan and apply it to each candidate. And it's very simple. What you are speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say.
Oh,
now
that's interesting. I like
apply that to Trump. We know the vast majority of things that he accomplished, he is going to reinforce when he's reelected. Now you apply that to what Kamala says she's going to do, and it just doesn't fit, because what she is goes contrary to all of the sudden, just as the one thing, I'm going to bring down food costs. Oh my gosh, I am going to really tackle the border day one. You've had 3.5 years now to do it. I mean, so I don't want to go into each one, but you get the point. What you are speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say.
No, that's true. That's very true. It's a good point. Oh my goodness.
And then ask the news media. Whoa.
Have we been muted this whole time?
What are the things that Kamala stands for? What has she done? Oh, there's a whole list of new things. Oh, you don't want to go to the things she's already done, do you? Because it doesn't fit your agenda.
Ah, gotcha. All right. Well, let's look at what is it Kamala? I'm not sure how. I'm being honest. I don't really know how she wants you to say her name. But what I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead and share my screen again here and show you what I found as far as, and this says where Harris and, hang on, where this is from Politico, as you can see, where Harris and Waltz stand on 2024's biggest policy issues. So now, biggest policy issues depends on who you are, right? what you're saying, what you are. What's your saying again? What you are.
I can only turn this off so many times.
Oh,
Did you hear that, or is
no,
it just in
it's
my
just
ear?
in your
Oh, I'm
ear.
sorry.
Yeah,
It goes right
that's
to my
okay.
ear. Okay.
Yep, it went to your ear. So first we talk about the economy. For many voters, the contest between Harris and Trump is essentially about which candidate will generate the biggest financial boost. So
look at the record.
exactly.
What
yeah.
have you done?
So she's calling on Congress to ban price gouging by food corporations. I don't know. Are they really gouging us, or do they have to do that because everything costs more now because of inflation?
This is part
I
and
don't
parcel
know.
of what the left says. We have to get the rich. They aren't paying their fair share. Okay. Who is going to determine?
Why doesn't she do it now?
Determine what your fair share is.
Why doesn't she do that now so that
Exactly.
we can be better?
She's
By the time the election happens, then she'd have proven it already, right?
So now, again, if you look at the other side of the aisle, Trump cut taxes to put more money in
Right, but
middle
they're saying,
America.
but then the left is going to say, yeah, but he did that only for the rich.
That's not
Well,
true.
but that's what they say.
Yeah. Well, again, look at the record.
Yep. All right, let's talk about abortion and IVF. I know that on abortion, Trump was, he wanted it back to the states and basically have the states make that decision, and even noted that in Ohio, surprisingly, they were pretty liberal. And so, nobody's banning it. They're sending it to the states.
That again, that's the news media.
Right.
Because the left parrots this. They took away your abortion rights.
Well, last night
they didn't.
At the Democratic convention, they had a whole group of women that came up and were talking about abortion. And it was just weird because at the beginning, you had a Catholic priest. At the end, you had a rabbi and another, and I apologize for not knowing who the woman was, but there was another woman. She was Christian, who, they do the benediction at the end and they do the prayer at the beginning. And I'm thinking, and outside there's a bus that's like giving everybody abortions. Somehow it just didn't.
I saw that.
Right. Yeah, it was really weird.
What do they do? Run over them?
I don't have a clue. But the thing is, as far as abortion goes, yes, the right doesn't want abortion. I grant you that. However, there is abortion in all sorts of states, and each one is voting individually. So okay, I don't know. I don't know how you can say that Trump can do anything at this point because of the fact. Well, first of all, he also said that he was for the special circumstances. So a woman's raped or incest, those types of things, that would be permissible.
I think the test is, and there's an old adage, and I think it bears well, government closest to the people is the most efficient. What the Supreme Court did was he put abortion closest to the people.
Right.
It's the 50 individual states that get to decide what the abortion laws will be. Right. Now, I would think that the left would be trumpeting this.
You would think so, because
what? It doesn't make a good headline. Good headline is, and you heard, how many times did you hear the news media say that the Supreme Court canceled abortion?
Yeah. I know.
It just wasn't true.
It wasn't true. But there was a lot they said yesterday that was
it got
on the edge.
It got legs, didn't it?
Yeah. So on labor, Harris has wasted no time trying to lock down the union vote. But then didn't the Republican Party have one of the union guys there doing a speech? So I think that there's a real battle here for that vote as well. The environment, so of course the left is all for whatever is going to control the environment, which I don't know. I think we ought to let the environment be myself, but that's just my opinion. Let it do what it does, right?
Well, don't make the environment something that it's not.
Exactly.
And that's it. Yes. Is there global warming? Yes, there is, but it's in cycles. What type of cycles? Not from Monday to Friday, not from year to year, but century to century.
And not only that, but we were told when we were growing up, at least I was, that it was going to be colder as we got along. So who knows? Taxes, lots of things here, agriculture. So just look for the Politico article about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and you can find out what her position is on these things, or their position, if you will. Agriculture, just kind of scrolling through so you can kind of see Israel and China. So those are the issues that they seem to think were pertinent, or Politico thought they were pertinent. So we only have a couple more minutes left, and then we're going to go into our second hour with our very special guest, Suzanne Morgan Williams, who has her book, and I don't have it out here. I'll have it in the next hour, and we're looking forward to that. So, gosh, this has really gone quickly, Doug. I can't believe it. It's like, what happened? How did we get here already?
We have to apologize, Ed. We're sorry.
We didn't miss you. No, that's not true. We always miss Ed. This is his yearly trip. He's allowed.
You know, I'm going to say this.
We don't have a lot of chocolate, though, because, he's not
Say
here.
this real quick. I had worked with a guy, and he wanted to always go by his last name. His first name was Ed. Well, why do you go by your last name? He says, well, I have grandchildren, or I have nieces and nephews that call me Uncle Ed. Sounds like knucklehead, so I don't.
It's pretty funny. All right. On that note, you are listening to What's the Story? I'm Janice Hermson here with Doug Ashby. We're going to be back in just a few minutes, and we will have Suzanne Morgan Williams with us, who is an author right here in Reno, Nevada, but she's well-traveled and has lots of books, and you ought to hear what she has to say. So please come back, look for our link. We do start a new stream, so this one will go away, and we'll have a new one. All right. Okay, so thank you for being with us. We will return